Josh, have you ever had a client like Lori? She ended up not even needing a lawyer. She represented herself there in Arizona, but she seemed to be directing traffic, and I'm not sure where her head is. And what do you do if you're representing someone like Lori, and how do you navigate those waters?
Sure. So if I'm her attorney, I'm probably going to counsel her not to come clean, because if she does come clean, it could negatively affect her appeal. And frankly, you know, with Lori Vallow anyway, she's not the type of person who wants to come clean anyway, and she probably doesn't even see a benefit. She's going to get a life sentence without the possibility of parole, and it's going to be stacked. That is, you know, consecutive. And there's no way that the judge, I think, is going to give her concurrent terms. So, you know, she did an interview at the end of June on TV. It was about 40 minutes long. And I think that her sentencing hearing is going to be very similar to that interview where she said that she's not an evil person. She doesn't have a violent bone in her body. And basically that she had nothing to do with any of the murders, and that it's just a family affair. You know, I would fully expect that she's going to give some type of sermon to everybody in a Charles Manson type of way, justifying, you know, herself, and of course blaming everybody else.
Yeah, and probably she's going to echo those opening statements and closing arguments that she had on behalf of herself, which were basically self-serving and saying this is a family tragedy, nothing more, nothing to see here. Rex, can you give us a sense of who Lori was when she was younger, growing up? She seemed like she was a good mother. She had a lot going for her. From your perspective, what was the other Lori like?
Yeah, I'll try to do that. You know, we've been doing our podcast for 2 years and talking about her, and I've become more and more disgusted with the evil she perpetrated. So it's a little bit tough to go back, but
when you go back, do you see the evil Lori now in retrospect?
No.
Did you go back? Oh, no.
No, two different Loris. And so, you know, people tell me, have told us all the time, I'm co-host of my podcast is Lori's brother, Adam, the good brother. And people tell us, well, we're naive. She was always evil. If she did this evil now, she's always been that evil. That could be. We didn't see into her heart and mind. We aren't perfect judge of people. But we saw a very happy, very positive, very loving, devoted mother that whole time. And so those were her actions. Again, not seeing into her heart and mind. But that obviously changed rather quickly as she started down a path of, you know, choosing evil.
Josh, you don't think she should or will come clean at her sentencing hearing? What about later down the road? Do people who are in prison for a while eventually come clean, whether they are touched from religion or just have a sort of a moment where they realize they're never going to get out? So, all right, I'm going to admit it as a way of self-healing.
You know, I would say that in the past, dealing with cult-like figures and cult murder cases, that it takes decades for that type of acceptance of responsibility to manifest itself. And I'm thinking specifically of the Charles Manson murders and those that committed the murders on his behalf. You know, in that case, you know, he had his followers that committed the murders, and they didn't come clean right away, but they did decades later. And if Lori Vallow is ever going to come clean, I don't think it's going to be for a very long period of time.
Yeah. Let's listen to Lori in her opening statement.